Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
Cryptocurrency donations to Ukraine through the government and private channels have topped $36 million. How about that one for the Ukrainian people? Wow. Hopefully this conflict resolves quickly, but I tell you, things are moving in the way of sanctions and barring people and things of that nature. Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister is asking here crypto exchanges to block the addresses of Russian users now. We see here two different examples. Kraken CEO, co-founder Jesse Powell says that while he respects the people of Ukraine, Kraken will not freeze the accounts of Russian users unless legally forced to do so. Now, on the other side of that coin, Binance is working to comply with sanctions on Russia imposed by the Western governments following the invasion of Ukraine. So, two different folds on that right there. We'll keep an eye on it. But here is what we have to worry about here at home, because SWIFT sanctions, SWIFT is controlled by the banks. The banks privately own SWIFT together, right? And the major U.S. banks are expecting retaliatory ransomware attacks following the imposition of tough sanctions on Russia for invading Ukraine. You know, this is why, it's always good to have a little cash on hand. And I'm going to make sure that we do. I'll tell you that. SIB, which is the automated clearinghouse based in Portugal, has successfully moved to its technical accounts to target instant payment settlement. This is according to the source from the European Central Bank. I think it's very important to pay close attention to that kind of progress going on while we see the woes of the world happening and unfolding, and hopefully, again, that they end sooner rather than later. But this is a clip here that tells you, or at least it tells me, I believe that the war between Russia and Ukraine just got bigger by 27 nations. No, they're not sending troops in, but what they are going to acknowledge in this clip right now is that Russia itself has its nuclear division, military nuclear division, on high alert, which is a threat itself, right? But now we're going to see that the EU is going to finance and deliver weapons to the cause for the Ukrainian people.
It's important to stress that the nuclear forces of Russia has been put on high alert. We just had a VTC conference with the G7 foreign ministers, and we were joined by Minister Kuleba.
Says the G7 just had a meeting on all of this business. Keep listening.
Who inform us of the latest development on the ground and the Ukraine urgent needs. And I told him very clearly, you came last week, we asked for SWIFT and we asked for arms. And now we are delivering on both sides.
So he's just told you right there that the SWIFT sanctions they delivered on because they needed to do that, and there's maybe even more to come on the side of SWIFT sanctions as well. But now they're delivering weapons to the Ukrainian people. That's 27 nations of the EU that are now participating and facilitating weapons to that conflict. It doesn't usually fall long after that you start to see troops sent to that region too. We'll see. Not to be an alarmist, but we will keep an eye on it. Now, other things that are happening in light of the SWIFT conversation that's going on with the war and conflict. The US dollar, this is Brad Lonkar, who's an investor and a creator of a couple different ETFs on NASDAQ, says here the US dollar being the currency of global trade and the SWIFT system that enables it is the financial market equivalent of the US Navy keeping the world's waterways free. It's why the US should ban Bitcoin, he says, and any other decentralized currency that weakens this even 1%. Well, look, I understand where Brad's coming from, but the point is that if it's decentralized, you can't stop it. But now listen, well, here's what we do know. You can't stop the tech, but you can legally regulate it or legislate it out of existence. And that's what I think he's talking about here. You know, the idea that we understand that China has already kicked out the miners out of Bitcoin, and now they're making cryptocurrency, Bitcoin transactions illegal as well, forcing you to go to the on and off ramp, as we have discussed many times for a long time on this channel, which is a central bank digital currency. And in China, it is the digital yuan. You know, seeing this pounding of the ground here reminds me that the EU themselves are discussing in the parliament banning proof of work and Bitcoin and mining in the EU because of the energy consumption. What happens if that happens here? It doesn't mean that you can't use or spend it, but it's going to have to be converted potentially if they continue this path. Your crypto will have to come out as either an approved stablecoin, highly regulated stablecoin, or a central bank digital currency. This is how they begin to take control of the digital world, is it not? Take a look at this. This is a reminder and just a side-by-side here from Danny McFly that says it can replace SWIFT, and the answer is it can. And in fact, it's designed to. And in just a moment, you're going to hear Chris Larson say as much. But let's continue with the news. We have a lot to look at here. Ashish Birla chimed in yesterday and put out a thread here. In the last few days, we've seen some say Russia could potentially evade sanctions and get around SWIFT using crypto, which some of those people saying that is Christine Lagarde, from the president of the European Central Bank. He says, I outlined some of the key arguments refuting this below in the chart. He shows here, crypto is only becoming more easily trackable by software and governments, #Chainalysis. There simply isn't enough global liquidity to support Russia's needs to countries' FX needs, not individuals. On-off ramps are by and large regulated financial institutions that have to abide by OFAC laws, which we talk about FSOC and OFAC here all the time about how RippleNet and potentially XRP and the XRP ledger could get such kind of heightened supervisory prudential regulatory supervision. We'll see. He goes on to say here, diving into 2, our team took a look at the data behind this. As stated by the U.S. Treasury Department, Russia conducts nearly 50 billion in FX transactions a day. As the largest crypto, Bitcoin's volume is usually between 20 and 50 billion a day. Russia needs would encompass Bitcoin and more. As of January 22, you could only send 200,000 worth of Russian rubles, it says here, at the time of through Bitcoin on Binance, which is versus 3.7 million through Bitcoin to USD and 2.9 through BTC to Euro on Bitstamp. So he's really breaking it down here through the chart. He says, even if you were sending 2,000 every minute, assuming the Bitcoin ruble market was resilient enough to immediately replenish the liquidity, very doubtful. You're nowhere near the 50 billion a day. Also, the total average daily volume over the last month for Bitcoin ruble was just around $11 million. SWIFT is one part of the equation here, he says. Banning some Russian banks from using SWIFT does complicate matters, but let's not forget that Russia had ample time to prepare setting up direct banking relationships in Asia and elsewhere to get around correspondence. You know, one thing I did notice in here, and I'm going to just give that to you very quickly here, is this, and I actually have it out of place, but I want to put it here because it's where it belongs, is thank you to Ashish Birla. So we know Bitcoin can't solve the problem. However, I did notice that he never said RippleNet and all their banking partners that can offer liquidity and utility to the network, plus the use of XRP, couldn't. Did you notice that too? Because I did. DAI says right here, in all my life, I've only heard one company ever claim their goal is to replace SWIFT. Only one. All the money. That's right. And it's Ripple, baby. And here's a clip of Chris Larson talking with Michael Arrington about exactly that. Take a listen.
Rather than being an internet system. So we need that internet of value to be developed. And that's what we spend our time working on, is a replacement for SWIFT and correspondent banking. How do you get all of the payment providers, all of the wallets onto ILP? And then how do you use XRP as on-demand liquidity so that all of these providers don't have to keep balances all over the world because the process is so inefficient. We think that's the winning kind of killer app.
And there you have it. And it is the winning killer app because, again, you know, it's really about this right here. The side by side here. Now, I know there's 11,000 institutions, but 300 plus financial institutions on RippleNet are also some of the same institutions from this group right here. I think a merger, acquisition, or some kind of collaboration happens sooner than we could imagine, probably. It certainly seems inevitable. Just like we know this from Hassan Al-Anansi right here, reminds us, yes, XRP can replace SWIFT. We hear Chris Larson tell us, as Brad Garlinghouse has told us too, that is the goal. Just as SWIFT replaced Telex back in the day. Get some of that. It's an evolution, folks. It's an evolution as much as it is a revolution from within. Anders L says it really well here, just like we talk about it on the channel. The way I see it, RippleNet can easily be sanctioned. Can easily be sanctioned. We talked about this. FSOC, the U.S. Treasury, OFAC, the foreign sanction side, OFAC, FSOC, the domestic side of the financial system. These are prudential regulators connected to the Treasury, as I know that most of you know. I don't think they could do much about countries wishing to use XRP as a bridge asset independent of RippleNet, similar to how you can't stop countries dealing in physical gold. Am I wrong? To David Schwartz, I don't think he is. David hasn't answered or seen it as of yet. But a reminder here from Michael Nardilio here, it says, Ripple offers seamless integration with your bank's existing systems and processes such as anti-money laundering controls, fraud detection, sanction screening, and regulatory reporting. They're already poised to serve at this level of heightened prudential supervision. That's what we know.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.